88% of change initiatives fail. That was a statistic that I got from a great report from Bain & Co back in 2016, who said 7 out of 8 change initiatives actually fail to deliver what they set out to achieve. Now, other consultancies will argue, some say 66%, others say 70, others say 75, but everyone will roundly agree or soundly agree that the vast majority of change initiatives, business strategies, mergers and acquisitions all fail to deliver what they set out to achieve. And the obvious question to that is why? So there are 10 reasons why change fails, and they are the first 10 chapters of the Change Catalyst. The first reason is that people don't like change. We are hardwired to resist change. In fact, we all erect personal and emotional barriers to change, and I cover that in another video. The second reason why change fails is a lack of clarity about what we're trying to achieve and why. Now, what we're trying to achieve needs to be framed in terms of numbers and narrative. The numbers are easy, particularly in financial services, the numbers are simple. But what sort of company do we want to be? What's the narrative? What does the future look like after this change? What is the change vision? What type of team, what type of department do we want to be? How are we going to behave? It's the narrative that is all important. And the third thing is why. Why are we undergoing this change? And too many change initiatives fail because they don't fully appreciate or explain why. And that why needs to be both logic and emotional. The third reason why change fails is that the implications of the change are just not fully understood. So we don't engage people in understanding, well, what are the consequences of this change? And for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every decision, there are consequences. There are winners, there are losers, there are things that will be impacted by the change, and we need to explore them. The fourth reason why change fails is an obsession with process over outcomes. Now, process is really important, but we should never take our eye off what it is we're trying to achieve in terms of business outcomes. In fact, a process without an outcome is just a roadmap to nowhere. The fifth reason why change fails is inertia, and there are 3 types of inertia. One is initial inertia, which is just the challenge of getting from talking to action, which is difficult enough to go from planning to implementation. The second type of inertia, which anyone that has gone through a large IT program will actually understand, is midterm inertia. And that is any big IT program, it ends up being like a locomotive running down the tracks with gaining such momentum that it's politically impossible to jump out and say, stop, are you sure we should be headed in this direction? And what we need to do is actually have some pauses for reflection. Often we don't, and we just power on through, and it ends up costing so much more money and taking so much more time. And the third type of inertia that a lot of companies and a lot of change initiatives suffer from is complacency. And it's an illness, it's a disease that only infects the successful. I mean, just ask Blockbuster, just ask Kodak. In fact, probably Bear Stearns and Lehman are in that category as well. So the whole organization was focused on doing what they did. And they were focused, their whole processes, the whole systems, everything about them was focused on the way that they worked because they were so successful, that they didn't see disruption coming. They didn't see that there was another way that they needed to adapt in the future or adopt in the future. So ask yourself for your team or your department, what is your Kodak moment? The sixth thing is the project is often set up to fail. I've seen steering groups that are so large and unclear about how decisions are made, and I've seen working committees so large that they become talking shops rather than actually action groups. Another key reason why change fails is poor communications and disingenuous engagement. So a lot of change initiatives just use broadcast communications. We forget that we need to listen, and when we do listen, we need to listen to understand, not just to listen to reply. The eighth reason, and this is critical, is we forget that emotions trump logic every single time. Emotions are 4 times more powerful than logic. So when you're communicating change, you need to understand the emotional triggers of your people. The ninth and penultimate reason is a change-averse culture. I've seen cultures that pretend to be innovative and collaborative but are anything but. And you have to have a change-ready culture if you want to succeed. You know, are your people ready, willing and able to adopt new ways of working? Are they ready to suggest new ways of working? And the last reason, number 10, of why change fails is leadership. Actually, leadership was also 1 to 9 as well, but this time it's the leadership doesn't stay the course. Leadership has to keep their eye on the ball the whole time because the forces against change are just too strong.